Welcome to Cut the Slack with your hosts Billy Candelaria and Timothy J. Coy. Sponsored by InlandEmpireHealth.com and PremierLocalMedia.com.
3, 2.
Welcome everybody to the very first episode of Cut the Slack.
Cut the Slack.
Cut the Slack, where we're going to be talking
1.
about a little bit of everything from health, fitness, nutrition, and then likely getting into a number of extreme sports and odd things that we like to do, apparently.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
So, little background on myself. I'm coming from the DJ industry where I've been DJing for over 20 years. I'm an ex-personal trainer and now a health coach that focuses on nutrition. What about you?
Man, well, right now, last about 4 years, I've been really getting deep in on home improvement sales.
Okay.
So anything having to do with upgrading your home, could be roofing, could be outdoor living, concrete, flooring, kitchen and bathroom remodeling, really anything that has to do with home improvement. I can help. I can save people thousands and thousands of dollars.
Right.
And it's great just to be able to go in somewhere, transform a space, and have that person just love the environment that they're in.
Right.
And so, but yeah, prior to that, I've always been very business minded, very entrepreneurial. Prior to that, I used to own a company out in Orange County. We just closed up shop within the last 3 months, but basically we were doing electronic recycling.
Okay.
And we've had that since about 2011.
Right.
And so, but yeah, man, it's
So we're kind of coming from two completely different worlds.
yeah.
But the good thing is we've been friends for a long time, right? Maybe.
What is it? Day 5?
Yeah, day 5. So since we first met, so that's kind of interesting. But there we do have some definite common bonds and things that we have in common with each other. And we can kind of start by, I guess, telling our story. It sounds a little funky, but we met each other in the jacuzzi. It doesn't mean anything.
That is true.
We both have significant others that are women.
Oh yeah.
But we met at the jacuzzi when we were just chilling, and we kind of started talking about health and fitness, nutrition, some of the exercise and the sporting, activities that we both do.
Yeah.
And of course, me being a personal trainer, loving to work out, all of that kind of stuff, and then becoming a health and nutrition coach was one side of it. You have an interest in fitness, but there was something kind of unique that you do,
Right.
that really kind of caught my interest. So talk
Slack
a little bit
lifting.
about that.
Slack lifting. It's a new sport.
Yeah.
It's going to take over.
It's pretty amazing.
It's unique, and it's basically slacklining, basically, which a lot of people probably don't even know. But you're connecting a 2-inch strap between two trees.
Okay.
And you're just trying to walk across it.
Right.
So
like a tightrope.
Like a tightrope.
Yeah.
And you can do yoga poses on it. I've incorporated weightlifting onto it, and so. I think it's unique. It's fun. It gets you out in nature. You're not just in another, air conditioned filled room with a bunch of weights. It's like, get creative. Go into, find a nice grassy park to go in, and it's just a great use of time, I think, altogether. And it's very meditative. Like I said, yoga. But then, there's people that are, like you said, they're going between mountains.
Yes.
Yeah.
So my friend Austin, she's also part of my health coaching organization. She has a cousin that will literally take her slack line, now that I know that that's what it's called. Yeah. And she will span it across the canyon, like a huge canyon that's hundreds or if not thousands of feet deep. And then she'll hook up a little safety harness, and she'll walk out into the middle of this canyon on this tightrope, and do like you said. I think she gets into some yoga poses. I've seen some pictures where she fell.
Wow.
And, with nothing but this line, safety line to hold you, and so she's dangling 6 feet underneath this slack line,
suspended over a mountain.
Yeah, over a huge canyon where she can literally die. So That's kind of crazy to me. I'm not ready for that level, obviously. So I tried it. You when we did this, so this was the second day that we knew each other.
Yeah.
You invited me to come out and try the slack line, and you got on the slack line like an ace. Made it look really, really easy. And so me being very athletic and surfing and everything else that I've done, I figured I'm going to be okay at this.
Walk on.
I immediately fell off. I took no steps.
Yeah.
and then I realized as I was practicing it, there's so many muscles that go into play when you're doing this. From all the muscles in your toes and your feet that you really never use, to all the little muscles in your calves and your shins that you never really use, your legs, your hips, all the little hip flexors and abductors, your obliques, all the way up to your chest. You use all those muscles. So just me trying to balance and take one or two steps was leaving me out of breath, which really surprised me because I consider myself fairly in shape.
Oh yeah, you're in great shape, man. Yeah.
So it was really neat just to do something that was completely new and completely challenging. And you're so amazing at it that you can walk across and pick up weights. And you're doing curls and all this stuff while I can barely get 2 steps out onto this line. So I've got a long way to go. But I just loved it because it was something that challenged me and kind of was opening my mind up to a whole new level of fitness and another way of exercising and just kind of enjoying life.
Yeah, man.
I know there's some other things, on the spiritual side of things. You've also gotten into meditation and all of that. Like, how long have you been doing that kind of stuff?
Man, I've been into that realm of thought, I would say, since I was 17 or 18 years old.
Sure. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I've done, sound baths. I've done the
like the float state
where
place.
the sensory deprivation tank. I think those are that's also a great use of time.
It's amazing.
Have you done it?
I no, I haven't. I went by Float State to check it out, and
man.
we may invite them in to do an interview with us.
Yeah.
I think it'd be great.
James.
James. Yeah, he's a nice guy. They've got a salt room that has some benefits that I'm not 100% clear on. There's the I guess the float tank where you're floating in water, and they kind of close it off, and it's just black in there, which would freak a lot of people out.
Yeah.
But to me, in a meditative state, I think it would be awesome.
It is awesome.
And I personally have only been into meditation in the last couple of years. So I grew up like a hippie. So I grew up in a commune when I was a little kid. And
really?
It was kind of weird, funny, cool. But it was interesting in that, all these people lived together in a commune, and there was communal living where they all chipped in and they to pay the rent and to get food and all of that. Some people had jobs, other people would, make furniture or necklaces or whatever their thing was.
Wow.
So that was interesting to grow up in as a child. And then, so I've always had a bit of a hippie side of me.
Yeah.
Even though I also have a rebel side of me that's the tattooed motorcycle beer drinking kind of guy, but then over the last couple of years I really started to look into finding inner peace and also the law of attraction, just to make my life better, and start to use some of these things that I think a lot of people have been using that are very successful. So we'll probably touch on that in future episodes as well. What
turned you on to exploring that realm?
Failure.
Yeah.
Quite honestly, it was failure. I have always been entrepreneurial, just like you. I've started multiple businesses. Some of them were great, some of them were not great. The DJ business was a natural fit for me because I loved music and I was already a guitar player and singer and songwriter.
Yeah.
So that was awesome. I got into the DJ business. I've been doing that for 19 years now, but never really found ultimate success, and was always like kind of going uphill, so to speak. So, and then on top of that, I had a pretty tumultuous life after getting divorced and then getting remarried and going through kind of a second childhood, like we do. If you don't live your life properly in a certain way, then and you don't get to experience fun and exciting things, then I feel like when you become free, quote unquote, whatever it might be. In this case, it was my marriage. Then I started acting like a kid again. I went through a lot of volatility because of that. A lot of warring, a lot of fights, and crazy stuff, and it just wasn't working. So being what they call a badass, and riding with bikers and all that kind of stuff. I did that for a while too. I was in a motorcycle club and rode with the tough guys up and down the street, and there are a lot of hardcore people and a lot of not so hardcore people that just like to wear the colors. But that was all kind of a search for me for something. I didn't know what it was, but I was
some camaraderie, but
more so machismo,
tribalism,
just but honestly, just wanted to be a tough guy, and wanted to be, a badass kind of thing. But
you've heard this term going around, toxic masculinity, right?
Yeah. So that was definitely that, and it was a cool experience. So I can say I did it.
That's like deep in us, though, right? That's in every type of living organism. I feel across the board.
Well,
and
maybe
I
guess you're right.
It's expressed in so many different ways.
Sure.
But it's like every species, even in females, there's
like a natural desire for power and hierarchy and control and things like that. So I think there was something to that. Maybe I needed to experience to learn some things, but ultimately I found that it wasn't what I was really looking for. Fast forward a little bit. I just realized that I was going through all of these volatile phases that were only creating more negativity for me.
Right.
So I got into reading some books, and one book by Dr. Joe Dispenza was called Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, and that was a perfect title for me.
Yeah.
Hey, good morning, everybody. I got up today at 5 a.m. to do boxing class here at UFC, and it was interesting to say the least, man. It was tough for me. I do work out a lot, but I don't do a lot of cardio, and I committed to doing a Spartan race with Stacy and Andrea at the end of the month, so I'm having to do different things to get myself in shape and get ready for that pretty big commitment. So hey, I'm doing this to inspire people, so just know that you can get out here, get out of your comfort zone, make yourself breathe a little bit heavy, and then you'll be better for it in the end. So get out there and do something this year, make 2019 the best. We'll see you guys. All right, well, welcome to our very first podcast of Cut the Slack. Tim Coy and Billy Candelaria. Did I get it right?
That's it.
Okay, great.
The real McCoy here.
The real Tim Coy. So we've known each other for about 5 days. We got together, we met and decided we wanted to do a podcast together. You had bought all this equipment. I've been looking to do a podcast for a long time. But we decided to call it Cut the Slack because we met and we started talking about slacklining. We both have an interest in a lot of different things that range from all types of physical activity, exercise, and fun stuff like that. We also kind of started getting into the spiritual side of things too. Not any certain religion necessarily, but I think we both have the same desire to have a podcast that has a lot of variety to it, that really kind of gets into a little bit of health in the way of mind, body, spirit, and hopefully finances.
Yes.
Does that kind of cover a little bit of, or most of?
I think that sums it up
Okay.
well, and I think that there's a real formula to this life.
Sure.
That if we observe people who are creating the life that they want and that are happy, that have a certain quality of life, there are similarities in what they are doing, regardless of the type of business that they've chosen or whatever space that they have interest in. There's this underlying formula that they're performing that maybe a lot of people don't really know too much about.
Yeah, that's a great point. And to kind of touch on myself a little bit, I grew up very poor. Family, as we talked a little bit before about, I grew up initially in a commune where it was a bunch of adult hippies that had kids, and they all kind of did the communal living thing and chipped in to do all that stuff. Then we moved out of that. My parents never really had great jobs, so we were definitely in the housing projects of the ghettos, on welfare, food stamps, and everything. I went through school, didn't do very well in school. Even though I didn't have a problem with intelligence, I was bored and didn't care. So I had a tumultuous school journey, and then went out and started to make something, or tried to make something of myself, but found myself in the rat race, just trying to get a job that would pay me enough to live an amazing life. But then I quickly found out that that wasn't happening. I wasn't making enough, and I didn't know how to make enough. So I tried a lot of different things, tried starting a few businesses, but like you said, I noticed that there were people that were wildly successful and were living an amazing life, and I didn't have that yet. So I think that's a really interesting topic. So when you talk about this lifestyle, I guess it would be, what kind of things are you seeing in that lifestyle?
Of those that are achieving their quality of life that they want.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. It's
not all just work.
Right.
I guess is my point.
Yeah. And that's really, I think, what we hope to bring through this podcast is a whole living type of education.
Right.
Where it is business, it is spiritual, it is nutritional, it is healthy leisurely time,
Sure.
It's things that you can do that are going to elevate you.
Got it.
Amongst my friends, I always talk about like avatar upgrade. There are real avatar upgrades.
What do you mean by that?
I just mean that if you learn a skill that you never did, that you've never done before, and you somehow discover this new skill, and that new skill can propel you into realms that are going to increase your revenue, increase your health, make you happier. There are real things out there that you can do as an avatar upgrade.
Okay.
Learning a new language, learning an instrument, learning new skills. If it's acquiring more customers, there are things that if you whatever your competition is in a certain industry, look at what they're doing, and that is the formula. It's being in multiple locations. It's I'm kind of just getting off track here.
No, I get what you're saying. And something that I've noticed when I look at the people that have the life I want, it's not just money.
Right.
It's not just money. So there are some people that are in the business world that have a ton of money, but
their family's a wreck.
Their family's a wreck. They're not. All they do is work all day, and they're doing that 12, 14 hour a day thing. I don't want that. I do want money. I do like money because money makes things a lot more enjoyable. I'm not in love with money, but money really is the fuel that powers the world, so to speak. So that's definitely a portion of it. But the people that I'm looking at that have the life that I want, they are usually doing a lot of fun things. They are traveling a lot. They're also getting into some things that I wasn't really clear on, like certain types of affirmations, meditation, and things of that nature that I guess in a way are helping them program their subconscious, which was interesting to me too. So I, in the last couple of years, have started dabbling in some of these things, and now I'm at a point where I'm starting to build that kind of a life. So if you look at my social media, of course, I never post negativity on social media, so I'm not going to post the bad days. But I've been able in the last couple of years to travel, which I've always wanted to do. I've been able to do a lot of fun things and experience a lot more life, as opposed to just sitting in my couch and watching, movies, TV, the Kardashians or Married with Children or whatever show, The Real World or The Hills or any. I mean, those are all great shows, and they're great for some people, but I have no interest in watching them on TV necessarily. I want to live that kind of a life. So there is a way to live a well-rounded life to where you have great family interactions, you have great physical experiences where you're out doing things, whether it be exercise or traveling or just doing fun stuff like zip lining and driving race cars or whatever it is that you want to do. And then having the business side of it too. to where you have a productive business that's making money. So that's my interest is that whole life scenario of living the dream, not just making a big paycheck, but making good money and also having good friendship experiences, doing things that keep your body healthy,
yes.
and that allow you to feel good about the body that you have. I think that's a big part too. You have to be self-confident.
Yeah.
And then living out experiences here on Earth. So I know we're going to be able to touch on a lot of these topics throughout our time together, and we'll probably kind of dice it up, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, and I think health and fitness is huge. Overall spirituality, holistic approaches to solving life's problems.
Right.
And just like I said in the last one, peaceful parenting. That's a huge one.
Right.
And
so you have kids?
Yeah.
How many kids?
I have an 18, or actually she'll be 2.
2.
She'll be 2 in October, and an 11-year-old stepson.
Okay.
Yeah, Leo. So there's Leo and Leia.
Okay.
And and so, there's a whole host of challenges that come with that, as you know.
Yeah.
And navigating that space in a healthy way is the most important.
Yeah. And how old are you?
I'll be 32 in October.
32.
32 in October, yeah.
So I've got a couple years on you. I'm 46. I've got 5 kids total, and 3 are my boys biologically, and then my wife Christina has 2 girls. We blended our families when the kids were all pretty young, still in elementary school for the most part, and so I am a natural parent and also a step parent too, and there's a lot that goes along with that. And I think it's really interesting that you're already thinking about this, because when I was in my 30s, I was just doing the best I could. Yeah. And it was just kind of wake up, get the kids ready for school, go to work, come home, make dinner,
repeat,
put the kids to bed. So I didn't really have much time with my kids. So how is your life? Are you able to spend a lot of time with your kids?
I am, and that's part of this whole life design idea that we're going to try to express and get through to people, is that you don't have to be pulled at every single end and live this stressed out type of existence, because that just begets more stress. Yeah. So, but it takes work. It takes focused work, because if you're going to sell your time, that's at the root of everything, right? If you're going to sell your time for a salary, now you've just reduced, the quality of person that you could be outside of those parameters.
That's a really good point. When I had my first son, I was doing what I thought I was supposed to do. I was working in the corporate world. I ended up working anywhere from 8 to 10 or maybe more hours a day. So that meant I got in the office at somewhere between 6 and 8, and then usually didn't get home until around the same time, like 6 or 8, right? Depending. And sometimes it was a little less. Sometimes it was a little more. The moral of that story is that I pretty much missed my first son's life. Because I was doing what I thought I was supposed to do, or the only choice that I thought that I had at the time. So he's, in his late 20s now. He's almost 30 years old, and I'm finally getting to spend time with them, which that saddens me, that I missed all of that. So at a certain point, I made a decision that I wasn't going to let that happen again. But yet I still didn't really know what to do. And I think that's a big thing these days, is that most people don't think they have a choice. They think that the only thing they can do is work their 48-hour-a-week job, and the only way to really improve on that is to get a job that pays more. Right. But usually pays more means more responsibility, which means more time, right? And that's huge, but that is an old concept.
Selling time.
It's an old concept, and you're right. You are selling time. So you're selling or giving your time to this company, and it equates to a large percentage of your day. You wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning. You're not done until 6 or 7 at night. So that's 12 to 14 hours out of your day, and then you have this very small fraction of time that you get to spend with your family. What's most important to you in your life? Most people say family. And here we are sacrificing all of our time for money. So, and then the other thing is that we're working for money,
right?
Which we can get deep into that topic at another time. But you don't have to work for money. Your money can work for you. And also, what I meant by the industrial age, kind of a thought trap. Everybody thinks that we are still in the industrial age where we have to go and give our time to a company and work at a brick and mortar company all the time, and that's the only way. But that's not true anymore.
Right.
Do you go to an office and spend 40 hours a week at the same office in a cubicle?
Oh no, I cannot do that.
Okay.
I cannot do that.
So what does your work life look like?
Yeah, so like I said, I've always had a business development, sales, entrepreneurial type of mindset, and so I let that's a guiding principle that I have adopted. Like I said, 17, 18 years old. I read Rich Dad Poor Dad, and he spelled it out. He spelled out the difference. The difference between middle class mentality versus the wealthy, and the wealthy are teaching their kids what it takes to maintain that quality of life.
Sure.
Meanwhile, the middle class, struggling, stressed, in debt, limited belief, there's that operating system is being transferred just as the wealth is being transferred to wealthy families. So that's we can't get angry at our parents for, like, I didn't grow up poor. I don't have that story. I didn't grow up. I had a 5-bedroom house in Redlands, and total middle class. Both my parents worked at the post office, and they both retired from there 30 plus years. My dad was in Vietnam.
Okay.
He and both of his brothers were drafted to the war, and he grew up poor. He would always say that, and so he would always say, Billy, you have it so made, the house that we have, the cars and this and that. And that's what I'm saying. Like, by no means rich, but we had stuff, and and it wasn't.
So then they gave you a $500,000 trust fund when you left the home, right?
So, not at all. And
okay.
And it was almost a battle between me and my dad's energy, because he was very much hippie-like.
Okay.
And which I am too. I would say that I'm super liberal on most all things, but the business side of me is what would come out, and I would spark these conversations with him, and his mindset was that textbook: get a job, get your pension, work your 30 years, and then you're retired.
Right.
And he lived that out.
Just lay up.
And it's like, that's an idea that, and like I said, we can't get angry at people because in reality, he's successful, right? He created that. He got the house, he had the family.
Right. And you didn't grow up poor.
He had the truck, he had the cars, the trucks, and he had the vacations. So it's like, in his mind, he was living the dream,
Sure.
But again, compared to people that own entire organizations that have scaled out their idea so that they can perpetually travel, that's an avatar upgrade. You're right. So that's what I've always been on, is that, Dad, that's great that you did that. Much respect, like, love. I am so appreciative that you created an environment safe for me to grow up in.
Right.
But I have to take this a step further. Like,
sure.
Because we're either going to go further as a genetic strain on this planet, or we're going to degrade.
Wow.
And that's kind of intense.
Wow. That is.
That's kind of intense, but it's real. And you have a name, I have a name. We're all carrying the tribe of our ancestors behind us, and they fought very, very hard to get us here. Millions of people have died traveling trying to get from one region to the next.
Sure.
And
just so we can live here on the continent.
Just this torch of life is just being handed, from us to the next, and us to the next. And it's like, there's a responsibility there. And
dude, you're getting me all worked up, man. Now I want to be like Braveheart.
There's a real responsibility there, and I
love that.
It's you have to be. You don't have to be, but this is the mindset, right? You have to be guided by certain principles that are forefront that precede your action, right?
Sure.
And so
it's an if-then statement. If you want an extraordinary life, then there are different things that you have to do.
You have to operate by.
I was not okay with just laying up and getting a job and making my $50,000, $60,000, $75,000 a year. There's a huge gap between that and what's considered rich. Like, as an example, I have a friend that initially was making about $10,000 a month, which I thought was a lot. I got myself to that point. Now they're making $30,000 to $40,000 a month, which is a lot, right? And most average people would think that's a lot. And so I did the math, and $30,000 a month times 12,
360.
It's not $1 million.
Right. Yeah.
So why are we so messed up that we think $30,000 a month is a lot? That perception thing, and I know a lot of people out there are going to say you're crazy. That is a lot, and it is.
It's a scarcity mentality. It's all it is. It's fear based, and it's scarcity, and it's easy. It's easy to magnify something that you haven't attained yet, right? So,
sure.
Like, I'm slacklining 5 feet up, not even, between 2 trees in a park. There are people slacklining between mountains,
yes.
And they're falling, they're getting back up. Like, that's insane. It's the same activity, but it's just different. The whole world's different.
On a scale. There's a grand scale, a small scale and a grand scale.
Right. So yeah, someone could go, a stockbroker who goes into the office, a few hours every day, busts out a few hundred calls, gets a few deals, maybe he makes $1 million that year, and maybe he works, 3 or 4 hours a day.
Which doesn't really compute to a lot of people because we've always been told you got to work hard,
right?
And that to most people equates long hours, right?
Right,
I've got to break my back. I've got to come home tired. That's not always true.
Yeah,
you can work smart. You can work 3 or 4 hours a day and still make $1 million a year. But is that rich?
So here's the overlying guiding principle of someone who wants to make that a real goal, attainable goal, is stop selling time. Sell value.
Yes.
That's the actual to-do within that. Don't sell time, sell value. And
that's a great point.
It's not, hey, I'll show up for 8 hours and I'll do this motion, I'll do the pageantry of my job, and I want, $20 an hour or $40 an hour. It's like, no, I'm going to show up and I'm going to produce $10,000, and for that $10,000, it may take me an hour, it may take me 3 hours,
right,
or 10 hours,
right.
But I want to be paid on the value that I generate,
right,
not the time that I'm limited on.
Right.
And
right. Well, yeah, that's a great point, because then what you're doing when you're talking about the time equation, someone's saying, okay, you're worth $30 an hour.
Right.
I mean, that's not true, because I'm worth a lot more than that. I know you're worth a lot more than that. My wife, even my kids are worth more than that. And to try to put that equation together and make it work and say, okay, my kids are only worth $100,000 a year.
Right.
Like the time with my kids. You give me $100,000 a year, I'll give you all the time that I would normally spend with my kids.
How would you determine value? How do you determine worth?
That's a great question. It's difficult, but and you can maybe help me with this, but all I can say is that I know my time is a lot more valuable than I've sold it for in the past.
Yeah.
So, I mean, maybe you could shed some light, man. How can you
determining worth?
Yeah. How do you do that?
Well, it's like a house. What's a house worth? It's worth whatever you can sell it for. So you can look at comps. This is a 4-bedroom house, 3-bath in this neighborhood. Certain other ones are around $500,000. Mm-hmm. Okay, well then this one's worth $500,000. Well, it's like, no, it's not worth $500,000 until someone pays $500,000.
Yeah.
So we're all worthless.
I thought you were going to take me the other way.
No, we are all worthless until we demonstrate that value. And
interesting.
We're not worth $1 million unless we actually generate $1 million. we're not worth anything
point.
until we generate anything. And so the guy working, minimum wage, that's his worth.
Right.
That's his true worth, until he demonstrates otherwise. And
okay.
That's, I don't know. Maybe that's.
I mean, that's probably going to make people maybe not happy at sorts. But I get what you're saying. You know, I mean, then you would look and say, okay, well, this person here not doing much, not worth much. And that's sad to say, but we're just talking about value. We're not talking about
we're talking about the marketplace,
the esoteric version of
right.
where everybody's worth $1 million or exponentially valuable. But then, so let's just go with the marketplace, right? Like you said, this person isn't worth very much, but then you have this other person that is seemingly worth hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars. You have stars that are making appearances at clubs and they're getting paid $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 just to hang out at a club for an hour. But then again, they're also creating
they filled the club
millions of dollars outside of the club, right? Yeah, they're definitely making the club a lot of money.
They filled the club,
so
yeah.
So I think that's really interesting. And what's the difference between the two people? They may have the exact same genetics. You could have two twin brothers or sisters.
Yeah.
Or maybe we don't need to say gender.
Right.
We could have two twins, and one can be worth an exponential amount of money, and another can be worth almost nothing. Right? What would you say the difference is there?
It's their guiding principles. That's it. And it's their actions, right? So, like I said, there's a real formula to what's going on here, and if we take a whole mind approach to it,
right.
It's the nutrition, because you're not going to have the energy to pursue your dreams if you're just depositing junk into your system. You're all clogged up.
It's a garbage in, garbage out.
Like you're not going to be. You're going to start feeling, oh, I have an ache here, so let me pop a pill.
Right.
And then it's like, oh, that pill has side effects, so now I got to do this. And then it's like, you've just like whisked yourself into this manufactured journey, and of no control.
Right.
You've just given control over.
Right.
And so it's just so many layers that you have to stack.
And that's what we're getting at here, is that it really is it's not just one slice of the pie.
Yeah.
Life is the whole pie. We don't want to just have money and have no life, because it's not worth anything if you can't go anywhere and enjoy yourself.
Yes.
I can't just live a life of travel, because we got to generate money too. If you have a ton of money but you're not traveling, you're not experiencing anything new, you're not meeting new people, you're not doing anything on the health side of things, then eventually your body's going to deteriorate and you're not going to have a great quality of life. And the worst thing that I could ever imagine have happen would be I'd be a multi-millionaire, but I couldn't do anything with
Face app.
Right.
Face app. When are we going to see it? When are we going to see it?
So you've got to really make sure that, to me, the perfect life is a life where you've got great friends. You know, you can't always have great family, but some of those friends can become your family. You're traveling, you're experiencing different things all the time, you're living out new experiences on the daily and the weekly, and you're also healthy in the finance department too. So a perfect life to me is being able to work out, do some Spartan races. I know not everybody's going to be into that, but it's fun for me.
For sure.
Being able to travel around the world and see those awesome things like the Eiffel Tower and the Great Wall of China and Bora Bora and all of those things, and having a successful business that is continually funding all of these things without me having to sell my time to that company, taken away from all those other things. So.
Yes.
Is there anything else that I'm missing in that life?
I think just having quality interactions with people.
Sure.
That's fuel. That's like energetic fuel.
I agree.
And one of the reasons why I'm sitting here right now is because I met someone in public and connected.
Yeah.
On multiple levels.
Sure.
Because we could have talked, and you could have had your fitness thing going, and then maybe you started talking sloppy about some situation, you know, and I'm like, oh damn, that's questionable, So we're feeling each other out, and and things are cool, and that's a quality human experience. That's a serendipitous energizer right there.
I agree. I mean, I'm stoked that we're friends now, even though we've been only friends for a few days. But like you said, we do connect on so many levels: entrepreneurial, spiritual, physical. All of that kind of stuff is there. We're into fitness, we're into growing in a lot of different ways. But there's something that is stopping a lot of people from that, which is the internet, and social media. I love social media, don't get me wrong. I'm on Facebook and Instagram all the time. I also use it to promote my business, so I think that social media is wonderful, but a lot of people have gotten themselves to a point where they're only behind the phone.
Right.
And
that's the point. We met out. The most important interactions that you are going to have are going to be out.
I agree. Out in the real world.
Out in the real world, interacting with people, not like this. You know, I could have been at this jacuzzi and had my back to you and just like this the whole time. Yeah. And that would have been perfectly socially acceptable, right? Yeah. But I would have shut off this possibility, right? Which is of huge value, and so I think the overall point of why we're doing this is we're both vessels of a lot of life experience, a lot of knowledge, a lot of just and everyone is. We're not special. We're not special in any way. We just want to communicate what we've seen, what we've experienced, what we've found, what does work, what doesn't work. And we want to basically get that out to the world because it is valuable. Right. And I have this back, ultimately why I bought this stuff to do something like this is we're going to die. And, 100%. We're going to die, and it would be unfortunate to take all of a life's worth of information and wisdom and good advice, bad advice, to just go to waste.
Well, I've seen that in the past, and a lot of the people in the previous generations would go out and find this information for themselves and then keep it to themselves. And that is something that kind of sucks for the next generations, where these people may think, well, you got to go learn it for yourself. Right. Well, it took me 44 years to get to that point where I've uncovered some of the information through books and through these videos that we've talked about that I've watched, where I see Howard Stern and Jerry Seinfeld and Russell Simmons and Quincy Jones are all doing these same things. And so what I love about this, and if I might take the liberty saying that our mission really is to find information that is going to help people live a better quality of life, in all ways, and share that with them so that they don't have to wait X amount of years. In your case, you've come into some of this stuff far earlier in your life. You're in your early 30s, I'm in my mid 40s, but it took me a long time to find it. So I think it's just great that we're going to be able to share all of this information with those that are looking for it.
Yes.
When the student is ready, the teacher appears.
That's it, man.
So hopefully we can be that teacher that's appearing. And not that we're amazing, not that we're above anyone at all.
Right.
We're all just humans. But we might be able to use this podcast to help people get going quicker and to
close the gap.
Close the gap, relieve the stress, relieve the suffering that they may be encountering, and give them a new perspective. For example, my daughter, when I was talking to her the other day, she pretty much thought and was under the impression that the only way she was going to make money was to finish college. But that wasn't enough, because a bachelor's and even a master's degree wasn't enough. She in her profession, which is psychology, she feels that the only way for her to make money is to get a doctorate, which means tons of schooling. My suggestion to her was that there's lots of ways that she can make money while she's doing that, with all of the different ways that you can start businesses on the internet and so on and so forth. But I'm really excited about this show. I'm stoked that we met each other. I'm stoked that we had the courage to just shake hands and be friends in the real world.
Yeah, man.
And then ask a few questions and see where we could go with this relationship. I mean, honestly, if you think back to all your friendships, like people say, oh, I can't just meet people. How am I going to get new friends? Well, think back to all your friendships, all of them.
Right.
And think about the time you met somebody. And was it like divine or was it random?
Right.
It usually was pretty random. You were either at baseball practice and you met somebody, or you were in school and they happened to be sitting next to you in class, or you ran into them at the gym or the jacuzzi or whatever it might be.
Man.
So I think there's a lot of power in it, and I'm really excited about what we're going to do in the future. I'm excited for some of the guests that we're going to be talking to. I'm excited to get into the different kind of extreme sports that we get into, from slacklining to surfing to working out. I'm going to be real excited to talk to some people about nutrition, because really, your a good life is a complete life. All pieces of the pies.
Yeah, man.
Hopefully multiple pies, you know.
What are the pieces again? What would you say?
So
the buckets.
I would say definitely there's money, there's love and community, there is health, and also fitness. I think those may be two separate categories, because health in the way of nutrition, and then you can chop that up into spiritual health too, mental health as well. And then, getting out there and using your body for what it's meant for, to have fun and do amazing things.
Yes.
And there's probably more to it, but and travel is in there as well. But really full life abundance
and
to
interactions. Live. Yeah.
Totally.
Interactions.
And I think that's a whole nother subject too. Getting into physical relationships, like this, where we're talking with people. I don't mean sex necessarily, although that is part of life too. Yeah. But physical interactions, getting out there and meeting people and experiencing the wonders of all of these humans that are on this planet.
Yeah, man.
So
perfectly summed up.
I think it's going to be good.
Yeah, it's already good, and I'm really appreciative of it, and it's cool. I think local businesses that are in line with what we are doing, we also need to include.
I agree. I agree, and that's part of
that'll be the evolution.
Sure. The healthy finance is part of it.
Yeah.
And if we can, I would not only like to help people in the way of giving them information, but also help people in the way of helping them promote their business. And,
absolutely.
And there's a number of amazing businesses out there that people don't even know about.
Exactly.
I just learned about indoor skydiving.
Yeah, I've never done that.
It's so cool. I saw it on Facebook, but there's a place called iFly. They're all over the Southland right now. But you can go in. They have these vertical wind tunnels with fans, and they take you through classes and all that.
Yeah.
But you can literally skydive and float in the air, and they take you up and down with these powerful fans. Without jumping out of a plane.
Have you jumped out of a plane?
No.
Never?
I don't
have the desire to. We need to take a little field trip. We'll go.
I will verbally commit to doing it, but I don't want to. But I will. I will do it. I'll do it at least once to say I had the experience. But that's the other thing, too, is that there's so many businesses out there that are really cool that people don't even know about, that we can, I think, share so that person is experiencing an influx in business, and also some of the people that are watching the podcast can go and have some new amazing experiences.
Yeah, man.
So I think we're off to a good start.
I think so. It's
cool,
good
man.
stuff.
Here's to cut the slack.
Cut the slack. Cut the slack.
All right, guys. Well, for Billy Candelaria and Tim Coy. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you on the next one.
Next one. All right. Peace.
Thank you for joining us on Cut the Slack. For more information on health and nutrition, please visit us at inlandempirehealth.com. For more information on promoting your business, visit us at premierlocalmedia.com.
Hi, I'm Billy, and here at Premier Local Media, we help business owners grow their companies using video as a means to attract more customers and increase revenue.